Hi everyone, I'm finally doing a sketchbook session after 2 months. Whoops. Anyway, for this I wanted to do something cute, not super complicated, but still experiment a little. I have gotten a lot of new supplies recently. They're cheap from my local stores as usual. I didn't get to use some of them for this page because I forgot. But I'm drawing my new OC cat. I've been kind of obsessed with drawing her lately, but you'll see everything later on. For now, I want to talk about how this sketchbook is going so far, since it's very different from my other ones. I briefly showed it in my last sketchbook tour. It's from Art Creations. I'll put the cover thing on the screen for the exact info. It's my most expensive sketchbook so far. I thought I could invest into something more high quality, It's also twice the size of my other sketchbooks. This one is pretty much the same size as an A4 paper sheet, and speaking of paper, it's thicker than in my other sketchbooks. Alcohol markers still bleed through it though. It doesn't bother me personally, but I still want to point that out. In terms of filling the pages, it's been kind of slow so far, but honestly that's the case for all of my sketchbooks. First pages usually aren't that great. But on top of that, I have been more focused on my digital art, be it for commissions or videos. So as a result, I started the sketchbook over a month ago, but I only filled about 20 pages. Which doesn't sound bad now that I say it out loud, but for me it's a bit slow. I just recently got into the zone, you know what I mean? But I'm having fun. It's cool to have a lot more room on the page. I can fit full body drawings in here. I would rarely draw full bodies in my sketchbooks simply because there wasn't enough room, but I love drawing full bodies. I do them digitally like all the time. Now I want to quickly go back to the new supplies I mentioned. It's mainly stickers and stuff. I found these really dope sticky notes that look like pieces of meat. I love them. You might notice them on one of the pages when I flip them. I have some ideas on how to use them, mostly for horror themed pages, but we'll see. I also got a bunch of really pretty stickers, some of which I will use in this video. Visually, they are very pretty, but they chip very easily, which is unfortunate. I put a couple on the cover of the sketchbook and they're so chipped after just a couple days. Other thing I got are pastel pencils. I was planning to use them on the outfit, but I just full-on forgot. And I got watercolor pencils, but I'm not sure if they're actually watercolor. They're nice, and I use them when I just need neatly organized pencils instead of a box with different types of supplies. I struggle with organizing my supplies, so when the packaging is meant for storing as well, it's the best for me. What else can I talk about? The drawing process for this was fine, I guess, but not perfect. I just don't like filming while drawing. It makes me feel nervous and like I need to hurry. I also usually draw on my bed, which is definitely not good, but it is what it is. So having to do everything at the table was a lot for me, but I managed, and spoiler alert, I like the end result. I do my usual thing of making the drawings separately, then later I cut them out and glue them into my sketchbook, in case you were confused why I'm not actually drawing in my sketchbook. I just like doing it this way. If I make a mistake, I don't hate myself for ruining the page. I can move things around, and this way it's easier to layer different colors, materials, textures and stuff, which I love. And for this page, I knew that I wanted to use some unconventional materials, I would say, and the layering would not have worked if I just drew everything directly on the page. But that being said, I'm still trying not to rely on that completely and just draw in the sketchbook sometimes. It's mostly been portraits / face studies so far, but it still counts. Now I'm drawing a cake, and I wish I put more effort into it, to be honest. I was gonna color it with markers and really get into it, but I honestly was getting a bit tired at this point, and I realized that most of it is gonna get covered up anyway, so I just traced the area that will get covered and colored around it. But to spice it up a bit, I added puffy paint to it, though it was hard to squeeze it out and my hands were in pain. Maybe I'll draw a full detailed cake on a separate page. After some time has passed, I feel like the character placement I chose could be better. Well, more like the perspectives of the character and the cake look a little weird together. Then I moved on to painting the background, which probably should have been the first step, but here we are. I painted pink. I like having solid color backgrounds. I think it really helps if you want your sketchbook to look and feel more full and complete. For this, I use paper, markers, or pencils, but since the sketchbook is much bigger, I go for paint to make it faster. I actually did a whole spread using felt pens of all things, and it took me like 3 days to do it all. Never again. And now comes the experimental part. I decided to use actual lace for this. You can also use tape that looks like lace, like normal person would, but I couldn't find one in white. So of course the solution is to get real lace. I'm just hot gluing it around the edges in a little frame. And this was low-key kinda scary for me because I did not want to burn myself, which is why you can see me pressing the lace in place with a paint jar. I cannot speak. I once got a whole drop of piping hot glue on my fingers, and since then I'm cautious around it. I also didn't glue the lace on properly, and it's a little crooked at the top, so that's great. And I'm adding an actual bow on top because coquette. Cut off the extra lace and hot glue streaks, and now I can assemble the rest of the page. I didn't have an exact plan for this. I knew I wanted the lace frame and the bow, squeeze the cake somewhere in there, and some cute decorations. I used a bunch of the new stickers I mentioned, and like I mentioned, most of them chipped right away. I had a bunch of golden flakes stuck to my fingers as well as on the pages. I don't know how visible they are on camera, but that was pretty annoying. Some of them also didn't want to stick on properly, so that's great. But I just put them in little sort of bouquets around the cake, then later added some gem stickers and hearts with a glittery pen. Despite the stickers, this part was really fun and it's usually my favorite. Just putting everything together, playing around with the composition, placement, colors, textures. It's a huge benefit of traditional art for me. I like digital art a lot as well, but being able to play around with different mediums on paper is great. But also, this is just what I choose to do. I get comments from time to time like, my sketchbook is so boring compared to yours, and something along those lines. And I just want to say that this is a sketchbook and it doesn't have to be like mine. It doesn't matter if your book is filled with simple sketches or finished drawings. What matters is that you have fun. One isn't worse or better than the other, they're just different. If you want to do something more complicated, go for it. If you want to do studies and sketches, go for it. Hope you get what I mean. But this is it for this page and video. I like the end result, despite the complaints I had, and luckily it doesn't get in the way of closing the sketchbook or drawing in it too much. but I hope you like it too. Thank you so much for watching. You can like the video, subscribe, maybe comment and all that, as well as check out my other socials that will be on the screen and in the description. Stay safe, everyone, and bye!